At 500 hours local time, Russian air defense radars lit up. 6 fast-moving contacts appeared at once. Not 1, not 2, 6. They were coming from different directions, different altitudes, different speeds, and every system watching them knew the same thing. This was not an accident. Because 6 drones against a modern Russian air defense battery should not have survived more than a few minutes. But survival was never the objective. What the Russian operators did not know was that the Ukrainians were not trying to win a missile exchange. They were trying to break the system itself. 12 kilometers north of Sevastopol, a Tor M2 battery went to full alert. The radar operator watched 6 returns bloom across his screen, clean and unmistakable. Small, low radar cross-section, slow, drones. The commander ran the numbers instantly. 6 targets, 16 missiles ready. Doctrine was simple. 2 missiles per target gave a 90% probability of kill. On paper, this was easy, but the Ukrainians were not playing by doctrine. They were playing by physics. The first pair of Beaver drones climbed aggressively. Electric motors pulled maximum current, screaming across the electromagnetic spectrum. Every radar within 20 kilometers could see them. That was deliberate. These drones were not attackers. They were bait, like a magician waving one hand to make sure you never noticed the other one moving. 30 seconds later, a second pair launched near Berislav. These stayed low. Thermal cameras turned the darkness into a map of heat and shadow. They did not climb. They did not advertise themselves. They simply moved south, steady and unremarkable. The final pair did nothing. Their motors were warm. Their systems were armed. But they waited. A countdown timer set weeks earlier continued to tick towards 0. The mission planners understood something critical. Air defense systems, like people, could only focus on so many problems at once. The Tor radar showed the formation spreading. 3 vectors. The northern pair climbed to 500 meters, practically shouting for attention. The middle pair stayed below 100 meters, boring straight ahead. The southern pair turned southwest, away from Crimea, away from anything that made sense. That was the moment the Tor commander committed. The launcher slewed north. Elevation increased. 29M338 missiles erupted from their tubes. Inside each missile, a guidance computer smaller than a smartphone calculated intercept geometry in real time. Closure rates, predicted target positions, impact windows. For the first 8 seconds, the missiles flew blind, guided by commands from the ground station. Then their seekers went active. X-band radar flooded the sky, and the drones reacted instantly. The moment the Beavers detected the switch from search to track mode, everything changed. Pulse rates jumped from 300 to 1800 per second. That was the signal. Both drones dove. Not a gentle descent, a violent plunge. Altitude was traded for survival. The missiles tried to follow. They were never meant to. They had been programmed for higher altitude intercepts. Now they were diving at 60 degrees, pulling over 30 Gs, control surfaces screaming as they attempted maneuvers they were never designed to make. At 20 meters altitude, low enough to clip street signs if any existed, the drones leveled out. Above them, 2 very expensive missiles faced a problem they could not solve. Ground clutter, every fence, every rooftop, every puddle of water reflected radar energy. At Mach 2.5, the seekers could not process the returns fast enough. It was like trying to read a book while sprinting through a library. 12 seconds after going active, both missiles self-destructed. The Tor crew shifted attention south and immediately noticed something worse. The southern pair was gone, not destroyed, not jammed. Gone. The drones had found a radar shadow. The Tor sat on a slight rise with excellent coverage north, south, and east. But to the southwest, a shallow valley created a blind zone starting 3 kilometers from the battery, 400 meters wide, narrow, precise, below 30 meters. Terrain masked everything. Above 50 meters, the radar saw clearly. But between 30 and 50 meters, for exactly 400 meters of lateral space, the Tor was blind. The Ukrainian operators had studied elevation maps and satellite imagery for weeks. The southern pair threaded the gap at 35 meters. Flying by GPS coordinates memorized like a prayer, one gust of wind, one error of 200 meters, and they would reappear instantly. They did not. The Tor crew launched again, this time at the middle pair. These missiles were programmed for low-altitude intercept from the start. They flew flat and fast, accelerating horizontally like cruise missiles. The Beavers detected the launch and did something no manual accounted for. They turned toward the Tor, maximum throttle, diving to gain speed, flying directly at the launcher. This was not bravery, it was math. The Tor's minimum engagement range was 1 kilometer. Inside that distance, missile warheads could not arm safely. The drones would reach that bubble in 36 seconds. The missiles, already in flight, attempted to reverse course. Airframes groaned under impossible loads. One missile shed a control surface and tumbled into the night. The second realized it would pass directly over its own launcher. Safety logic triggered, it self-destructed 800 meters from the battery, close enough for the crew to feel the shockwave. The Tor had been defeated, not by stealth, not by jamming, but by exploiting assumptions baked into its design decades earlier. At 5:17 hours, the surviving Beavers crossed into occupied southern Ukraine, and everything escalated. A Buk M3 battery near Novokakhovka had been tracking them for 6 minutes. This was not a surprised unit. This was a prepared position. The Buk launched without warning. No surge sweep and no hesitation. Missiles flew flat and fast at treetop height. Track via missile mode. The missile itself became a forward radar relay. A 700-kilogram flying sensor racing toward its target at Mach 3. The operators had 18 seconds. The lead drone dove toward a grain elevator. Concrete walls rose like a canyon. The missile tried to follow. It could not. It detonated against the terrain. 5 drones emerged from the smoke. One did not survive. Debris clipped its wing. It cartwheeled into a field and detonated in a small, unsatisfying fireball. The Buk commander watched 5 returns continue south, then watched them cross, not close, crossing paths. Radar tracks merged, split, merged again. The computer recalculated constantly. Each recalculation took 1.2 seconds. With 5 targets crossing repeatedly, the system spent half its time confused. Electro-optical systems attempted to compensate. Pre-dawn haze defeated them. Thermal imaging picked up signatures only inside 8 kilometers. By the time the drones appeared clearly, they were inside minimum engagement range. The Buk went silent. Professional defeat. At 5:35 hours, the drones entered the S-400 engagement zone. This system was built to destroy ballistic missiles. Its radar could track a golf ball at 200 kilometers. Its missiles flew at Mach 14, but it had a flaw. Velocity gating. Anything moving under 100 kilometers per hour was ignored as clutter. 3 drones slowed to 95 kilometers per hour. To the system, they ceased to exist. They flickered, then vanished. But the S-400 was not alone. Pantsir systems redeployed toward Kacha Air Base, point defense designed specifically for drones. The race began. At 5:41 hours, Russian aviation intervened. A routine military transport from Moscow began its descent toward Sevastopol. The drones tucked in behind its approach path. Not dangerously close, just close enough. The S-400 could not engage within 5 kilometers of an active transponder. For 8 minutes, the drones flew shielded by bureaucracy and international incident prevention. By the time the aircraft landed safely, the Beavers were diving toward Kacha. The Pantsir arrived at 5:46 hours. Stabilizers were still deploying when the radar acquired targets. Shooting from the wheels reduced accuracy to 60%. It was still better than nothing. Missiles failed. Cannons fired. 800 rounds expended. No hits. 10 seconds later, the first Beaver entered terminal dive. At 210 kilometers per hour, 40-degree angle, the shaped charge focused molten copper traveling 8,000 meters per second. The BE-12 never stood a chance. The second drone struck an ammunition-loaded Mi-8 helicopter. Rounds cooked off for 30 seconds. The Panzer's radar was destroyed. The third Beaver circled once, recorded everything, then ended its flight. The drones did not win because they were invisible. They won because they understood the systems better than the systems understood them. And because creativity thrives when resources do not. But Russia had more layers, and this was not the end. The third Beaver circled once, its camera recording the destruction for posterity. Then it rolled into its final dive and disappeared into fire. Bye for now.